I love you guys.
Dance off, bro. I have the high ground.
Expecto Patronum!
39 days, 20 people, 1 survivor.
Tribe of Nerds.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. Michael, Matt, and I are here for probably our biggest interview so far. All of them have been big, but we're very excited to have our first winner on the podcast. The winner of Titans versus Rebels, Feras. Welcome to the podcast, Feras.
Thank you so much, guys. Wow, the first winner to join this podcast. I feel absolutely honored. So thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so excited to be talking all things Survivor.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're very excited to have you, and just like, I mean, you're one of my favorite players of all time, so...
Thank you. Wow. Love that.
Yeah. So, to get into it, when did you start watching Survivor, and how did you get on the show in the first place?
I hate these questions because I sound like I'm not a fan at all, but I promise you I'm a massive fan. I just started... Look, I will say, I actually grew up watching American Survivor, completely forgot it. I completely forgot everything. So I did grow up watching them, I will say that. But I only recently got into Survivor during COVID. So I watched my first ever season was Brains versus Brawn. So it was Georgia's season, and I loved it. I was all over it. I loved how George was. I loved how like watching these types of shows, I expected the big brawny guy to like make a file to be the big character because, you know, as a first time watcher of Survivor, that's what you think it's all about. And then you see someone like George completely manhandle everyone with his words. I'm like, okay, this is a game that I really, really like. It's not all about physical competition. It's about using your brain as well. So ever since I watched that, I was like, I'm in. And then I actually tried applying for the show, which nobody knows this, but I actually remembered I was going through my photo album not too long ago, and I still have my audition tape, I think in like ages ago. I think it was even before George, to be honest. I think it was in like 2017, 2018. Like I look really young. And then I just never submitted it. I was like, I'm never going to get chosen. So I just forgot about that. And then, yeah. So long story short, 2020 is when I first started watching Survivor officially. Yeah, it's been not too long compared to Eden. I always compare myself to Eden when he goes on a podcast, and I hate going after him as well.
Yeah, just have the massive super fan and then
yeah, and then me. But yeah, no.
Well, and so when you audition to be on the show, like they put your intro package in the show, like how does that go? How does that filming process go?
That was the weirdest thing ever because, like, again, I would have never expected to be on TV. It's actually like I feel like Western Sydney was such a big thing with me because I don't think anyone realizes when you come to Western Sydney, it's not glamorous. It's just normal, average people. So when you get a bunch of camera crew going into Western Sydney, they're like, okay, either someone's on the news or something's going on. So that was really surreal for me. The whole audition process was quite long. But I said, I just need to get in front of someone. Get me in front of a human being and I'll make it far. But like the hardest part for me was actually the video and submitting it because I was like, I'm not in front of someone. They don't know what I can do and what I can say. I'm limited to this 1 minute video. But thankfully it went well. It was a horrible video. I don't know why they liked it, but it worked out.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
They clearly saw the potential.
Look, they saw something that I didn't, so hey, I'm happy about it.
It worked well for you.
I actually remember walking into my audition, like my face-to-face audition, and I was crapping myself. But, and I keep in mind, I didn't know the theme yet. So I walked in And I'm like, I'm gonna walk in like I own this whole place, and I'm the king of this place. So I walked in and I started swearing at everyone. I walked in and I'm like, you guys fucking made me wait for so long. What the hell's going on? Like I didn't walk in nervous or anything like that. Nah. I immediately started swearing at everyone, and I think they were like, oh, okay, well, he's definitely gonna be in the Rebels. That will.
So you mentioned George as being a player that you saw when you discovered Survivor, and your first confessional is talking about how you're here to finish what George started. So kind of, and what George represented to you as well as a player. So what kind of did you take from George and looking at the way he played and bringing it into your game?
Look, I think this is actually a decent topic that a lot of people speak about with George and I. We're completely different players. He's an incredible strategist, incredible. And I don't think I would ever be able to come close to him when it comes to strategy. Our games are completely different, and we're very different in every way possible. I respect them, man. I just like that, he doesn't let anyone tell him what to do, regardless of his size, his background, whatever it is. I like the fact that he uses his brain as a weapon and his tongue as a weapon, and I like that. And I saw him, and obviously he was one of the bigger players. And once I walked in on Survivor, I'm like, okay, George is a big player. He's from Western Sydney. I'm from Western Sydney. I'm going to be a big player. And you know what? I'm going to do one better than him. I'm going to win. So it's not so much that like our games were the same, or he's inspired or taught. It's completely different. It was almost like a friendly competition banter sort of thing. Like, I'm good friends with George. So yeah, no, it was and it's almost like the producers set me up for it as well. They were like, George is from Western Sydney. You're from Western Sydney. Are you going to finish what he started? I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I will. So, yeah, that's how it played out.
Before we get into the actual game, you were in pre-Ponderosa. Did you have any initial thoughts on the cast or any nicknames?
I don't know. I love these questions, by the way. So 100%. I remember seeing we were in like a complex where everyone was in a room, but there was like a main area in the middle. So if you looked out your window, you would have a sight on the main area. There was one time where I was like locked in my room waiting for this game to start, and I look out the window and I just see fucking Jaden shadow boxing for about 1 hour. Can you imagine how much you'd crap yourself if you're in lockdown for a week and you see some huge Samoan guy every day shadow boxing in the middle of the complex? You're like, yeah, I don't know about this game. But and imagine seeing Kelly for the first time, knowing that you can't actually speak either. Like, I rocked up to like this place where we all had to meet for the first time, and I saw the cast for the first time. No one's allowed to speak, obviously. The game hasn't started. And I just see Kelly, and it's 5 a.m, and there's 12 of us, and we're all tired. And I see Kelly dancing in the middle, and I see her just joyful and dancing, which is lovely. That's Kelly. You see what you get like with Kelly. But then when I saw that, I was like, am I going to be stranded on an island with this woman dancing 24/7, and I'm going to be starving? So yeah, there was a lot of judgments made, but I'm happy to say that a lot of them did not live up to the judgments, which is good. And look, we're all humans. We're all going to judge at the end of the day to some sort of degree. But yeah, it's the perfect example of don't judge a book by its cover.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So after the pregame ends and you actually get into the season, you get placed on the Rebels. And so what were the early dynamics of the Rebels like once you guys got on your beach and the game officially started?
Early dynamics. Alex was actually a very big character on the first couple of days. Alex is a very bubbly person, and he gets along with everyone. So he was loved very quickly in terms of socially. Like, everyone wanted to speak to Alex. Nobody was afraid to speak to Alex, or start a conversation with Alex. So it was very clear that this little popular group was forming of like the whole Cuddle Club. And you could see like the same type of people are speaking together, and then the rest they just like sort of split up. And then as days progressed, then we started to realize a lot more. Okay, there's slowly some divides happening, and I think very, very silly. You wouldn't do something like that on the first couple of days, but I think that's the fun of a newbie season. People make newbie mistakes, and it's really fun watching the mess happen. So we saw the whole Cuddle Club come together over the next couple of days, and we started forming, close friendships. I spoke with Ray. Kirby was actually one of the first people I spoke to. I still remember the conversation we had. Ray was one of the first people. Garrick, I knew Garrick. So Garrick, Eileen, and Ray were all in my sights, all of them. I said walking into the game, I wanted someone that was older in the game. Older people, a lot more logical, a lot more obviously mature, level ground up, like they're grounded and they're a lot more loyal. That's it. That's a huge thing. So I said I wanted someone older. He won't care if I call him old. He's an old fart, whatever. Ray, I said I wanted someone that was a clear outcast. I wanted to get close with a clear outcast, with someone that I can build a genuine connection with, and because those are the people that's actually going to appreciate you giving the time of day to them. Because you'd be surprised how many people on that first day were doing their own thing and completely forgot about someone like Ray, for example. Like Ray is still a person. And then I wanted someone quiet. I wanted someone very under the radar, in the shadows. I wanted someone that's just going to be, that's not going to give you anything. And that was Eileen. So slowly that started forming. And I'm sure they all had their own reasons to who they wanted to align with as well. But those were my reasons. And I think, yeah, that worked out really well for me in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like it. And so you had the cuddle crew that were the very naughty sandwiches.
That comment, that's the worst.
And one of your first confessionals is also talking about how the sleeping arrangements are the worst thing, not the food. So
yes, 100%. So at the time, yeah, I was like, I refuse to cuddle with anyone. I'm not cuddling with anyone. I'm sitting by the fire. I'm going to keep myself warm. I don't care. I'm not going to be one of those people on freaking national TV snuggling with some random people. That's just how I am, each their own. But it was the absolute worst thing ever. It was the worst. Like, because we had our day one outfits for a week. We didn't have all the rest of our stuff yet, like the hoodies, the beanies, like that good stuff. So I was in shorts. And a t-shirt and like another short sleeve t-shirt on top. And I was sleeping like that for a week. And at night it gets freaking cold. And when you hardly know how to build a proper fire in the beginning, hardly have like a nice shelter going on, you're freezing your ass off. And especially if you're not cuddling anyone. Yeah, like that was the worst night. Like that first night, and Kelly kept dancing. I still remember. It was horrible. It was very, very, very bad. So I was so excited to finally get our clothes and my beanie. That's why you saw my beanie. You saw me wearing my beanie even with my shirt off. I was like, I'm not taking off this beanie. But yeah.
So you're a really fun player at Tribal Council. Often at Tribal Council, you see people being very reserved. You didn't seem to have that, especially in the first Tribal Council, saying that someone needs to be made an example of. So was Tribal Council something that you enjoyed and didn't mind being kind of open at?
Yeah. Tribal was so fun because Tribal was the only thing where it felt like it was like you're doing the same thing every night. Like every day there's different challenges, there's different talks, there's different people. Tribal's always the same. There's always going to be somewhat like, and you always know something spicy is going to happen at Tribal. And if nothing spicy is going to happen at Tribal, you know something that's spicy that you're probably going to make happen at Tribal. So it's always fun to me because I'm also like almost testing myself in a way. Like, let's see if I actually got this one right this time, like, or if someone got the better of me. And I think that's why even like after, if someone blindsided someone close to me, yes, it hurt. It really did hurt, but I moved on. If I wanted to align with that same person, I'd do it. I didn't give a crap. Like it was almost like a stubborn thing. Like, okay, Kirby got Garrick out. You know what? I don't care. I'm gonna work with her, and eventually I'm gonna get Rihanna out. Like that's how I thought. Well, not so much as the next episode I'm gonna like gun for her. It's 4 or 5 episodes down, when we're best mates and we're hugging, I'll stab you in the back and I won't forget it. And that's what I did with Garrick. I said, Charles, Winner, Valeria, I'm getting all of them, whether it's today or tomorrow or the next day. I'm going to be writing each of those names down, and they're going to go home because I wrote their names down. And that's exactly what happened, because I didn't hold that grudge straight away. And yeah, it was just so much fun, and it was so surreal walking onto that set for the first time. That I'm going to call it a set, because it felt like a movie set, like you've been watching it your whole life, and now you're sitting in it. I'm just like, oh, this is so much fun. I'm gonna either piss someone off, scare someone, or save someone, one or the other, but it's gonna be fun. And I'm gonna make sure it's fun as well. I didn't want any tribals to be boring. So whether an argument was happening, or even if it's just a facial expression I was doing, I loved it. Like I loved playing it up. It was a fun thing for me. It was not just a game, but it was like an experience to me. So yeah, I was enjoying every moment of it.
Yeah, it definitely showed on the show.
Well, speaking of going to tribal, the Rebels don't go for the first couple episodes, but then they do when the minority of the Cuddle crew decide to throw the challenge. So when did you know that they threw the challenge, and were you worried that any of them may have an idol?
So I had a feeling, and I think we've all learned this from me. I have a lot of feelings, but I seem to just not do much about it. So yeah, I definitely had a feeling. I'm like, there is no way, because if you guys saw how we were, like what you see on TV, you see a lot of the times it's quite close or it's quite nerve-wracking, and it is most of the time, but a lot of times we are killing them, like absolutely killing. Like in those first couple of days, we were on a massive roll. We were clearly, like, everyone would have thought the Titans were stronger. The Rebels, in terms of strength, were actually stronger than the Titans. We were just so much more coordinated. So when we lost that challenge, and we were all pushing the big, whatever the hell that was, the raft on the sand, I was like, there is no way we are not pushing this thing as fast as them. Absolutely no way. Like, I know we are stronger than them. And then, yeah, I started being a bit sus about it, and then eventually realized, okay, they admitted it after that tribal. They're like, we threw the challenge. And I'm like, you guys are fucking idiots. Because if you're going to throw a challenge, throw it in a safer challenge. Like, I almost popped out my shoulder, you dickhead. Like, if you're going to throw a challenge, like, make it be in a spelling bee, you know? Like, for God's sake, like I almost I really hurt my shoulder, and I actually almost got kicked off the show. I got injured multiple times on the show as well. So yeah, I got pretty annoyed. But regardless, yeah, we caught on, and we were like, yeah, regardless, we're gonna get one of them out anyway. So oh well.
The payback was swift.
Yeah.
That's crazy to hear about your shoulder. I actually did not know that. So
Yeah, so just sorry to cut you off. If you actually there's in one episode, I think it was when we were on the Titans beach, for a split second of a scene, I'm actually in a sling. Like I'm wearing and then the sling, and then the shot changes and goes back to me, and I'm not wearing the sling anymore. So you'll see it for a split second, but yeah, my shoulder popped out and I went to the hospital and everything. Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, insane. And just to add to that, I feel like that's another reason why, not to skip completely ahead, Mark didn't write my name down instead of Ray's, because he thought he could beat me in the end because of my popped out shoulder. So yeah, extras. little things that we don't know, but yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So then the next episode after the PETA blindside, the box comes into play. And so when you saw the box and you got it open and you saw what was inside, what did you think about what you saw inside, and when the Ron people came and saw you find it?
I was the worst thing ever. Oh my God. Yeah, so find the box, and I see an idol and a key, and obviously the notes. And I want to logically put it in my pocket, fucking run away and open it another time where it's less suspicious. Unfortunately not, because this is such an interesting thing and nobody knows what's in the box, including the audience. I have to read the note then and there. So as I pull it out, I'm like, to like the producer, I'm like, can I like do it another time somewhere else? They're like, nah, read it. And I'm like, fucking hell. So I'm reading it and I'm like looking up and I'm reading it, I'm looking up. Then I just see Alex's head pop up and I'm like, okay, fuck, like he's caught us. We look sus already. There's no point completely lying. Maybe we can give half a lie. Yeah. So fine. Yeah, I find the key. I'm like, okay, the key, that's a bit more mysterious. The idol is something I want for myself. I'll hide the idol. I'll say we found the key. And yeah, like the fucking worst people, like Sarah, Kelly, and Alex, like the most expressive people in our tribe, literally find it. And then just announce it to everyone. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna have to work with this somehow. Let's spin it into I'm going to tell everyone I found this key because it's so early on in the Rebels tribe and I don't want to divide us and I want to make sure we all make the right decision together and we all make a decision about this key together. And it's not Ferris's key, it's the Rebels key. It's everyone's key. So I sort of flipped it in that way where I was like, I'm going to be honest with everyone. And like I made it seem that way, which is so pathetic. But like it kind of worked and it kind of didn't. But yeah, like it was the best I could do in that situation, honestly. Yeah.
Made the best of a bad situation.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense. We're recording our podcast for Titans versus Rebels next week, and one of my notes for that episode was, why did they open it when there's a search party right there? Why didn't they run?
I'm giving you guys all the answers to these questions.
Yeah.
And I think the next biggest question everyone keeps asking is, what the fuck happened to the key? What actually happened to the key? And it's such a disappointing answer, and I kind of don't want to tell you guys, but I lost the key.
Oh no.
Oh,
So
damn
what
it,
happened?
Ferris.
No, hold on. Listen to me. I told myself, I'm like, hold on. Why am I giving a key to someone when I know there's going to be a tribe swap soon? If I get on tribe swap and I get on the Titans beach, I'll fucking get a second idol myself. So I just held on to it the entire time. And then eventually the producer was like, you kind of need to give the key away because he messes up the whole like idea of this key. Like that's the whole exciting part about this key. You build an alliance, whatever. So I'm like, okay. And then everyone knew I had the key. So I was just twirling it around that camp. And I was actually going to give the key to Mark. And I looked over and I'm holding the key. And sorry, I was going to give it to Kitty. And I look at Kitty because Kitty kept looking at me. I look at Kitty and I showed the key and Kitty's not looking at me. And I see Mark and Mark sees me and he sees me holding the key and he looks at me and he's like, give me the key. I just never had the chance to give him the fucking key. That's all it was. Because if I gave him the key then and there, everyone would have seen me give him the key and that would have just been the worst position for me. There was no secretive way that I could give him the key and eventually he got lost and they were just like to Mark, open up the fucking box with your hands. We don't care. So that's what happened.
Yeah. So Mark just punched it open.
Sorry, guys. This is your survival winner. Losing the key.
So a big moment in episode 5, we don't get to see too much of your relationship with Kirby in the run-up to this, but we find out that Kirby is now working against you and you have quite an emotional reaction to that. So kind of what was your relationship with Kirby up until that point?
Yeah, my relationship with Kirby, we started building a connection. Most of the connection that we built was actually at night when everyone was sleeping. We were tending to the fire because she never cuddled with anyone. I never cuddled with anyone. We both sat by the fire and slept by the fire. So we'd always wake up in the middle of the night and like tend the fire. And we had some conversations. You know, she seemed like a really genuine person. I kind of trusted her, but after that whole Peter vote off, I was a bit wary of someone like her as well. But like when it came to like a personal connection, we got along like a house on fire. She was lovely. Like she was so nice to me. We were, it was a genuine friendship. So when all of that happened, I was like, Curbs, what the fuck? Like I was so good. I was still trying to deal with the whole game and real life split. Like you need to have a good divide between the two. And I think that was the first time I realized, okay, there's a difference between the game and actual people. Kirby's lovely, but she wants me out. and I need to start preparing. And watching that episode, seeing Alex tell me that Kirby's gunning for me, I look like a fucking psychopath. I look like I want to absolutely like wreak havoc on the island when I find out she's gunning for me. And I think I was also confused as well. I remember asking Scott, I was like, why me? Why is everybody gunning for me? Like I flushed my idol, my idol's gone, everything's gone. Like I'm a fairly strong big guy. You kind of need me in the beginning. Why are you gunning for me? And then Scott was just like, honestly, I think we just think you're a leader of like the alliance. I'm like, but I'm not the leader. I'm not. I'm the biggest guy. I get that, but I'm not the leader. Like Eileen is more of a leader. She's been doing this stuff. So I feel like because they just see like this big male, they're like, oh yeah, he's the leader. Like, I don't know what. So, and that's what started this whole fury of like Kirby and me, because it's like we were just mates the other day. Now you're gunning for me. What's your issue? You got a problem with me? And then we just sort of stopped talking in terms of like personal stuff, because beginning it's like I don't know how to deal with this, because you kind of want me out, but you're not mean to me, so I don't know how to deal with this. So eventually we started to get a hang of it, and once we started navigating our difficult relationship, we worked together properly.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my favorite parts also of that interaction when you're talking with Alex and you have Kirby in the background, like trying to shush Alex, or what the show makes it seem.
And can we just give the editors credit that like even like something like that, it's such a nerve-wracking scene because you're seeing both sides and you're like, I don't like what's gonna happen. Is he gonna say it or not? So it's really fun to watch.
Absolutely.
Speaking of episode 5, that's when you guys go to travel again, and it's announced that you're sending somebody to the Titans, and you were very eager to go, but you ended up sending Kelly. So how do you think things would have gone if you went to Titans instead of Kelly?
They made a great decision not to send me, I'll tell you. Number one, because honestly, it would have changed the entire trajectory of the whole game. But number two, I think I would have done really well on the other side. I actually think I would have been a really good pick. I would have definitely opened up the box with my key, and I would have definitely taken an idol. But other than that, actually would have been a team player. I would have been the biggest shit stirrer in that tribe, and I think I would have been successful at it as well. So yeah, I really wanted to go. I wanted to see how much I could actually stuff that tribe up, but I guess we'll never know.
And then
I
you
would
may
have done a lot better job than Kelly, I'll tell you that.
and then you may have actually tried to sabotage the challenge instead of sitting out, but we don't know.
Exactly right. Can I just tell you, I've never felt anger like this in my life, because we were actually talking about it that day, like the day of the challenge. We were like, imagine Kelly sits out, like that'll be hilarious. And we laughed about it. And then when JLP was like, okay, discuss with each other who wants to sit out, I was like, I wasn't even discussing with my group. I was looking at the other tribe. I'm like, I want to see what Kelly says. And then Kelly was like, I'm happy to sit out. And I was like, she did not just fucking say that. She did not just say that. I'm like, okay, hopefully they discuss something after. So JLP is like, who's sitting out? Kelly does that. I don't know if you remember my reaction, but if you go back and watch it, I literally do this. I like heard the biggest death stare, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? I was so angry, and right after you discuss the whole thing, and right before the challenge, they pause you for a second so they can go through safety and all that stuff because they need to. They pause that. They put us on the side of the jungle away from the course to like just wait for a bit, so one by one we can go and see how safe the thing is. I'm losing my shit. I'm fucking breaking branches. The producer telling me, relax, you need to calm down. You're not on camera right now, and that's fine, but you need to like stop doing whatever you're doing. I'm so livid because I knew if we ended up going tribal, I also probably would have been in trouble as well. You need to keep that in mind. Like I could have been in trouble that night when we. So I was really, really, really pissed off. But yeah, it was really funny. It was so fun to watch.
If only they showed you breaking branches and stuff, it would have been really, really funny.
Can I just tell you, if some of the cameramen were allowed to record off challenge or like some of the stuff that you weren't allowed to see, the season would be 1,000 times better. 1,000. Like, there's been moments, I'm telling you, where I've bawled my eyes out, like scream crying on the ground from how angry I was. Like, some shots are, and apparently, there were times where like I'd have really interesting conversations and the producer would like hear it, but they'd be like, fuck, like we can't get on camera because he's speaking to the doctor or the psychologist or whatever. But some moments, like if they got on camera, it'd be amazing. But yeah, very interesting.
Yeah. Well, speaking of being frustrated at Kelly's actions in that twist, what was it like playing with Kelly in the game?
As frustrating as you can imagine, I promise you. I will say, when I watched Kelly on TV, I was like, I completely understand why they chose Kelly. She is so much fun to watch. She is so entertaining, but it is definitely as frustrating as you would think times 100. So frustrating. Because it's almost like Kelly's one of those people where you'd speak to and then she'd convince you you're wrong and you'd be like, I know I'm not wrong, but like, am I dumb? Am I crazy? Like, am I crazy? Like that I feel like I'm wrong right now. That's how she'd make you feel. She's amazing like that. But yeah, no, look, even I think Kelly even knows how frustrating Kelly can be sometimes on the island, but honestly, a heart of gold. Like one of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. But yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So then we get to the tribe swap, and that's always a big moment in any game, and things kind of worked out okay for you. So what were your thoughts when you drop your buffs and you find your new tribe?
Look, I will say, I think I got the best tribe swap of any person in any Australian Survivor history and made complete shit out of it. Because I literally I was in the best position. I don't know if you guys remember, but I was in the majority Rebels on a Titans beach. And within that majority of Rebels, I had the majority alliance within that majority of Rebels. Like I had Eileen, I had all my members. I had Kirby split up with Rihanna, and I had a minority of Titans. Realistically, we should have completely got rid of them one by one, and like it would have been amazing. But because it's Titans versus Rebels, and we decided that we wanted to be a bit different and cool and wanted to switch things up, it fucking didn't go that way. So yeah, when I first got onto the beach, I was like, "This is incredible! I've got all my alliance members. I'm in a majority. I'm on a nice ass beach. Like we loved it so much more than the Rebels beach. We were like, this is perfect. You can't go wrong, and it went absolutely wrong. So that was very fun. But yeah, like I always think about stuff like that. Like if I just picked up the wrong buff, how much different would the game have been? It would have been completely different. If I went to the Rebels, I probably would have been the first one out of that tribe. So very interesting and very it's sort of like a serendipitous sort of thing. Like one thing can't happen without the other. Like Scott quitting as well. Like it's always interesting. So yeah, I got very lucky there.
Yeah, there's always an element of luck in Survivor games as well. Like you can't control how these things go sometimes, and yeah, you got a bit of good luck there.
Definitely.
So you brought up Raymond, and your relationship looked like very fun, especially in episode 9 when you guys are in the water and you're just shouting, "Hey, do you want to strategize? I have an idol. Don't tell anybody." So how was your relationship with Raymond?
Can I just say that I think that moment that was the hardest I've laughed on the island. Can I just say that went on for about 20 minutes. It didn't, and you can see towards the end of that scene, people were getting really over the joke, but we kept going. I was even like, honestly, to the point where I was like, we should get Kirby out. But it was that known around the camp that me and Kirby had a feud, but like no one cared. Yeah, look, my relationship with Raymond was very, very special on the island. Yeah, it's really weird. We connected on a very interesting level where we're so different. We couldn't be more different and more polar opposites. And people always spin out when they hear we're the same age as well, because they're like, "Wait, Ferris, you're older. You're the same age as Raymond." So that's funny. But look, I think Raymond sometimes he doesn't care what people think, and I love that about him. He literally doesn't care who he pisses off, and he's unapologetically himself, and I love that about him. And look, he's just got he's a kind human. He has one of those people where you just know they've got a pure heart. Like they don't have any evil in them. So yeah, when I first met him, he just wanted to be a part of the tribe. He wanted to help as much as he could. He obviously wasn't as strong as Tobias or Alex or anyone, or but he wanted to put his 2 cents in, and he wanted to be a part of the tribe, and I loved that about him. And I thought, you know what, someone like Ray can also be extremely loyal should you open up to him. So yeah, Ray felt like a little brother to me on the island. And if Ray honestly got me out, I said this, if Ray got me out, I'd honestly stand up and clap for him, because I would have never expected it. He could have blindsided me times. But yeah, he's incredible. Best guy you ever meet, and honestly, it's criminal how much screen time he got in terms of his interviews. He is hilarious, the funniest person you ever meet. He did a podcast with a bunch of other people, and he ordered at a Macca's drive-through. Like, he ordered a burger during a podcast. Like, who does that? It's incredible.
That's awesome.
It's amazing. So your relationship with Raymond, you talked about, but then you also had a relationship with Garrick, and how that came into play with when Garrick went home, and why you didn't play the idol for Garrick when him and Eileen were both telling you to play it for him.
Yeah, so that was a frustrating night for me, because the plan was the Rebels were going to stick together. That was the plan. And that was the plan all the way up until we lost the immunity challenge. Like, going back to Scramble, the plan was we're going to get out Charles. All the Rebels are going to get out Charles. So we go back to the camp. Everyone's all good. And then Garrick's like, we need to get Kirby. And I'm like, fuck, Garrick, are you kidding me? Come on, I'm sick of this Kirby shit. Let's just, come on, let's get Charles. He's like, come on, man. This is our shot to get Kirby. We've got Valeria, we've got Charles, we've got Winner. They're 100% with us. And I will say, I was also convinced that they were with us. Like, they seemed very lit. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So last minute, I tell Eileen, I'm like, Eileen, look, Garrick wants Kirby. Let's go for Kirby. And I didn't want to seem that person that shuts down ideas, ironically, because Valeria literally said that about me that day. So if I did shut down his idea, I would have got Charles out and Garrick would have been here. So yeah, I didn't want to come off shutting off the idea. He really wanted Kirby. I'm like, I'm going to give it to him. I'm not going to, I'm a team player. I'm not just good. Not everything's going to happen when I say it's going to happen. If Garrick wants it to happen, I'm going to back him on it. So I backed him on it. And I said, okay, I've got an idol, worst comes to worst. Again, ironically. I know during that time, Eileen is a bit untrustworthy, which is what the audience doesn't know. Garrick actually tells me that Eileen, him and Scotty, a couple of days ago, were talking about getting me and Kirby out eventually. So I'm like, okay, Eileen can't be trusted as much. And I think this is what really helped me in the game. I knew when people were lying to me, and I never told them. So I knew Eileen was lying to my face, but I kept working with it. All I knew was I'm going to keep Eileen close. I'm just not going to trust her as much as I do. That's it. That's all. I'm not going to change my game. I'm going to keep it with me. Whatever happens, happens. So all that happens. I know Eileen's a bit dodgy. Garrick wants to go for Kirby. I know that Eileen is sort of like, no, I don't want to go for Kirby. So that's sort of raising suspicions a bit more. And I'm like, okay, why? That's weird. She's not working with me. Anyways, all the kerfuffle happens. And then keep in mind, we are voting for Kirby. Nothing's happening. No idols are discussed this entire time. Until JLP says, would anyone like to fucking play an immunity idol? And then all of a sudden, Eileen wants to have this light bulb moment. Play your idol for Garrick. So please, gentlemen, tell me, you don't trust Eileen, and last minute she's playing an idol for Garrick. Are we playing an idol for Garrick?
No, because if you don't trust someone, then don't believe them.
And then again, you watch the episode clearly. I didn't completely say no. I said, who did you vote?
Right,
That's the
right,
question I asked her. I'm like, who did you vote for? She didn't answer me.
right. The show showed that. So
Yes, you did not answer me. So I'm like, I'm sorry, but like, if I have 10 seconds to decide whether or not I'm going to play an idol with someone that told me so, that I don't trust, that can't tell me who she voted for,
Mhm.
I'm not going to play it. I'm sorry. I
Right.
need to discuss these things. Like, the idols are hard to find. You can't make me burn one because you told me in 10 seconds. We need to talk about it. And again, let's say I don't trust Eileen. Garrick also said play the idol. Why, Garrick? Why would you like me to play the idol? What's going on? Am I missing something?
Mhm.
Like, talk to me. Like, I'm a logical person. I will
Mhm.
do whatever it is that suits the logic, but you need to explain the logic to me.
Right.
I don't make decisions out on a whim. And obviously that was my mistake. But obviously not, because that idol helped me at the end.
Right. Right.
But yeah, that was the situation I was in. That's why I didn't play it. Would I have played it on Garrick if I knew that was the case? A
Mhm.
thousand. I genuinely wanted me, like the dream was me, Garrick, Raymond, top three. That was
Mhm.
not going to happen. But that was the dream. And yeah, I would have done that, and I would have wrote Kirby's name down. See you later, Kirby. Bye bye. I'm the king now. Like that's what I would have done that 1,000%. But it was just not enough information.
Right.
For me. That's all.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we get to the twist in episode 10 where only yourself, Kirby, and Eileen are able to vote. So kind of walk us through that crazy tribal.
It was so funny because after that episode, all of Australia was convinced they were like, Ferris is a plant. He's not an actual player. He's a plant by the producers. Everything is falling into his hands. And to the point where they were like, there were magnets in Ferris's beanbag, like his little throwing beanbag. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm a decent thrower. I know I lost the top 4 challenge, but I'm an okay thrower. Yeah. So something was up because once we get to tribal council, it's always nighttime.
Yeah.
We get to tribal council, like the whole setup, the mics, the whole behind the scenes stuff. We get to tribal council and it's sunset, and I'm like, something's going on tonight. And I don't know how many people realize this. And I'm like, okay, something's going on tonight. I'm going to play cool with whatever happens because something's definitely going on tonight. Because we've been to enough tribal councils to know tribal council starts at nighttime. It's sunset right now. Something's happening. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go into tribal council, completely cool as a cucumber, see what happens. So we walk in, all these arguments start, and a lot worse than what you see on TV. Like it went for a while, and they were hammering at Eileen, and they were hammering at me, and I was all right to receive some hate. Whatever, it is what it is.
Mhm.
I didn't understand why they didn't trust me. It made no sense to me. I was like, why aren't you trusting me? I'm telling you all the correct information. Anyways, Eileen was getting absolutely hammered by Charles, winner, Valeria, and my blood was boiling. But I was like, I'm not going to say anything just in case something happens, because I feel like something's going to happen tonight. And then the whole thing happens. And then I'm like, this is incredible. Realistically, all I need is for either Eileen and Ray to win, for me and Eileen to win, or for me and Ray to win. And if you look at those stats, they're not the best stats. Those aren't the best chances at all in winning. Knowing that, we'll discount Ray and we'll discount somewhat me because I suck at throwing as well. That was a fluke, I'll be honest. And then we do this challenge, and then Eileen immediately fucking just like superwomans it, and 1, 2, 3, like straight away. I'm like, okay, incredible. All we need right now is for me or Ray to win. And my hands are shaking, like I'm literally like this, and I'm all over the place. And then Kirby gets it, and then I'm throwing it. And just as you think as this season can't get any more scripted, it does. Because we think this whole fucking season scripted. I throw it, Charles throws it. It both hits our statue thingo, whatever,
Mhm.
and they both fall at the same time. And all the blocks fall at the same time. They pause the game. They're like, we need to check the cameras, see who made it first. They looked at it. They're like, "No, we actually don't. Like, you both hit your blocks before he landed. It doesn't count. You're starting again." So can you imagine the stress?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So you're stressing even more. Poor Ray has given up on his own blocks, and he's actually helping me pick up my own blocks. So eventually I get it, and I'm just like, I can't believe this just happened. And now let's have some fun. So I walk into tribal council. I'm walking into a completely different mindset. I'm going in to piss off a bunch of people, make the greatest TV of all time, and walk out like a boss. Eileen wants to be a bit humble about it. I tell Eileen, I'm like, Eileen, they hammered at you. This is our chance to, like, so guys, give me your pitch. So yeah, I go back and forth with her, and then Eileen says, "Who do you think we should get out?" And then that's when I say I'm leaning more towards Charles. And then I think, what the fuck are we doing? I'm like, we just need to split the votes and we're winning. So the second we realize we can split the votes, then I get a bit cockier and I'm like, pitch yourselves to me. Come on. Like, in my head, I'm like, there is no way I'm losing this right now. And another interesting part, what they don't show, is what winner says to me. So in my culture and religion, there's something called wallah, which pretty much means, like, I swear to God, and we can't lie. Like, if you lie and you say wallah, like, for us, that's a huge blasphemy. Winner's from Sydney, and he knows there's a lot of Arabs in Western Sydney, so he knows. He goes, "Hey, Ferris, who'd you write down?" I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "Tell me." I'm like, "All right, your name down, winner. What are you going to do?" And then he goes, "Say wallah, you wrote my name down." And I look at him and I'm like, "Well, because I split the vote and I did write his name down, I can say." I'm like, "Wallah." So that's when he gets up. He's like, "Okay, I'm sweet. I play the idol for myself. I'm all good." It doesn't click to them yet that we've split the votes. So because I said wallah, he gets up, he plays his idol. I'm like, incredible. I just flushed an idol. And flush an idol, and that's why they look so damn shocked, because I pretty much swore to God I wrote his name down. So yeah, that was it was a very, very fun night, that one.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That should have made it in.
Yeah, they really
Yeah.
should have.
It was huge. Yeah, it was a very, very big moment. And Joel P was hilarious. Joel P was like, "Can you please explain to us what wallah means?" And I'm like, "Sure."
Yeah, no, I just because I just showed that episode, that tribal, to my parents the other night. Because I've been getting them into Australian Survivor and they loved it. Like, they were rooting for you and Eileen the entire time.
A fantastic episode. I feel like even if you were rooting for Kirby's side, that night you were rooting for my side, because you just wanted to stick it to some people.
Speaking of fun moments, in episode 12, when Alex comes back over, Alex and Kelly are talking, and then you just give this look, and it's just funny to see them back together, to being passive aggressive. So I don't even have a question. I just wanted to comment about that, and also about when you hugged Kelly that one time and you're still eating the food. Like your comedy is god tier.
Thank you so much. Look, I wanted people to watch Survivor and enjoy little moments as well. Like, it can get very serious and very, like, cutthroat, but those little moments, I think what makes you attached to a certain character or personality, whether it's me or Kelly, you build this sort of connection with this character on TV, and that's what makes it more exciting when they win, or makes it more devastating when they lose. So I said, I'm going to go on. I'm going to play my game. That's number one. But I'm also going to show people why, I'm fun to root for, regardless if I win or not. I want to be a fun person to root for. So when Alex came over and they started talking, it was the best thing ever. And Raymond actually made a comment. He was like, "You know what's hilarious about Kelly, Garrick, and Alex? It's like Kelly and Garrick used to be husband and wife, and they're ex-husband and wife, and Alex is the new boyfriend that she's currently arguing with at the moment." That's what it feels like. And it's so, I can't explain to you how passive aggressive it is. It's so hilarious. It's never, "Why did you say this to me?" No. It was, "I don't like the way you do this. I just feel like it's quite," like, it's hilarious the way they speak. and it's so much fun to watch. And yeah, hugging Kelly, like, because she's literally like up to my chest. So when she hugged me, I don't know, it felt very close and personal, and I'm not a very touchy person with other people. So I was like, okay, I'll just eat my beans and comfort you now. So yeah, I feel like moments like those, it really makes a season go from like a 9.5 to a 10. Like those little moments are really, really funny.
Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah. So another big moment in the season is the feast, and when you had the choice to skip the feast and go for the idol, and you and Alex, where you let Alex find the idol.
This, you know what? As you're asking these questions, I'm starting to realize how many big moments I was in. It's literally all of the major milestones of Survivor.
Right.
Yeah, that was. Sorry, did you have a question? I cut you off. I thought.
Well, just walk us through that, what happened, and like
Yeah.
why you let Alex have the idol.
Okay. So firstly, I will say if I saw that feast, I definitely would have gone to the feast because I had a big beef with JLP the next day. I was like, JLP, you didn't mention there was a feast. You just said there was going to be refreshments. What the hell is refreshments? To me, refreshments is lemonade and biscuits, not a feast. If I promise you, if he said feast, I would have been like, fuck the idol. Of course I'm going to the feast. So yeah, the way I saw it was number one, there are a lot less people on the other tribe than there are on this tribe. So I'm most likely not going to have enough of a chance to get valuable information with the right people. Like realistically, how many people am I going to speak to? And it does feel like merge is coming up. I feel like I can, like, socializing isn't a weak spot for me. I can do that later. I need to find an idol now. So that's why I chose to go on the idol hunt and read the thing immediately, like clock the idol. And then I'm like, okay, let's think about the consequences if I find this idol. If I find this idol right now, I don't know how much I trust Eileen, number one, and I don't know how much Alex. He's been gone for how long. So definitely don't fully trust everyone here. What's going to happen if I find it? Are they going to snitch on me? Are they going to gun for me? Is it going to be worse because I have two idols? Everyone's going to know I'm going to have an idol, 100%. I'm like, I don't need that extra heat. And honestly, this decision was based on Kirby. This was a moment where I was really desperate to work with Kirby because although we got Charles out, we're still outnumbered. And I don't know how much I trust Alex. So I'm like, okay, this is a perfect opportunity to get in with Kirby, to mend everything, to be like, look, we stayed Rebel strong. We got out Charles. We still didn't get any of you guys out or Scotty or anything. I want to work with you. Alex has an idol. Here's more information. Okay. Give him the idol. And that works perfectly for me. I don't care. I don't care about being that safe of having a second idol. I was already in a good position. I had an idol. I was like the worst comes to worst, and another idol was just going to get me through another tribal council. I'm sure I'll be fine. And honestly, I think at that point you just needed to outweigh relationships over idols. Like there's certain points where idols are more important than relationships, and there's other moments where relationships trumps an idol, whether you like it or not. And in that case, the relationship trumped the idol. And it worked. I went up to Kirby. I'm like, look, we found it. Alex found it. And I wanted to be sure I told her before Alex got to say anything or say, like, I wanted to make sure she knew that I was loyal. Immediately run off and tell her. And she has her sights set on Alex for like literally the next 6 episodes. Like Alex has this idol. Kirby hates idols. At least Kirby knows I have an idol, but I kind of want to work with her. So let's go for Alex instead. So it really shifted the target off of me. And everyone thought when that happened, they were like, Ferris is the dumbest Survivor player of all time. Who the fuck gives away an idol? But to me, it worked for me. It honestly did. Because let's say I took that idol. That night, if I lose a challenge, I'm definitely playing that idol. I don't feel safe. And then what? I'm back to square one. I have just one idol in my pocket. Then what? Like nothing changes. I've built a relationship in Kirby where that can last, obviously, what we've seen the next couple of weeks. So yeah, very interesting decision, very unorthodox. And I've mentioned this, and I said I don't think I'm a great player, but I think what my gameplay is. Why is Ferris doing this? He's very stupid for doing this, but why is it working for him? That's how I describe my gameplay. Like I do very weird things, but it works for me and only me. It doesn't work for anyone else. So yeah, that's the thought process behind it.
It makes sense when you explain it, for sure, because relationships make the most sense in the game. That's how you win the game.
100%. Like, as much as you would love idols, guess what? Idols take you as far as top 5. Then you're like, for me, I needed to invest in the more important thing for me. And for me, going into merge, I needed as many allies as possible. I didn't want to be the guy with 50,000 idols in his pocket. Like, I'm going to be the first time. So yeah, that was the whole idea behind it.
I mean, it's kind of the same logic as not wanting to win too many individual immunities at merge, because it's going to give yourself a bigger threat. So, like, I think that makes perfect sense.
1,000%. Like, I think you just need to balance the fine line of, and look, if it wasn't a public idol, would have taken it. Then that would have been stupid. Like if I gave it to someone else. But for me, it was like, it's not doing me any favors, honestly. And I need to be under the radar for now. And I think that was the biggest takeaway. After that Garrick vote, I was like, I need to relax a bit. I'm going too hard, too quick. And I think that was the sort of breaking point where I was like, okay, I need to change my style a bit. And I think you notice after that, for a couple of episodes, I lay a bit lower than what I usually did. I remember everyone was asking, where the fuck is Ferris this whole episode? Like, they're so used to seeing me on screen the entire time and being a screen hog. And then all of a sudden, for 15 minutes, you don't see me, then I'm gone or something. So yeah, I laid low, and I think that's how I wanted to play. And yeah, it worked.
So then we get to finally losing the grenade of the Rebels, Kelly, and the big bombshell she drops on you that she's a psychologist. Kind of, why was it the right time to lose Kelly, and how was that big revelation? Also a fantastic moment where she walks the wrong way as she leaves tribal council.
This is what I'm telling you guys. Like, this season, he just felt scripted. It has, you know what? It's felt like Survivor plus a bit of extra. Like, they should have mentioned that in the title. Like, a bit of extra scenes here and there. It was hilarious. And I think that was the perfect time for Kelly. Look, I was happy to lose Kelly because she was not in my alliance, sort of, yes or no. But at that point in the game, she was the most, how would you even say something like that? Like, she was the biggest factor I couldn't control. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
She was the one. Yeah, she was the one person where I'm just like if it's top 6, I can't control someone like Kelly. I can't get to someone like Kelly. Kelly's actually the one person I had troubles communicating with. Like with every other person, I felt like, oh, this is natural. Like I can adjust my communication to Valeria compared to Winner, compared to Eileen. I can talk about whatever. Kelly was the one person where I just could not get through to. Don't get me wrong, we had things we talked about, but she was a hard person to like really get into. So I needed her gone because she was too unpredictable for my game. And just her view of things is just so skewed, and you couldn't work with something like that. So Kelly was gone. I was like, this is perfect for me. This makes things a bit more even in the tribe, because now I got Alex on my side. Kirby's lost Kelly. I'm happy with that. So yeah, unfortunately, I was happy to see Kelly go.
Yeah, and she had some fitting moments in her Voodoo episode as well. Besides that, with like her celebrating her kid's birthday and her 1-year-old dog's birthday.
I'm sorry, we need to talk about this one.
Yes.
That was hilarious. You know what? When I was living in that moment, I'm like, this is gonna look fucking incredible on TV. And I was actually really worried because I do remember cracking up laughing because I couldn't hold it.
Yeah.
And I thought Australia's gonna hate me. This big Arab man laughing at an old woman crying, and there was a woman crying. They're gonna hate Ferris. But when it happens, I realized why I laughed so hard. Because if you listen very clearly what she was saying, she was crying, and obviously I was really touched, and I was listening, and I was all ears. I promise you guys, until she said, and then people started judging my baby in the womb. I was like, I can't do that. I'm out. I'm sorry, ladies and gents. But if you're telling me people are judging your baby in the womb, then I can't. And immediately I was like, and I had to like
Yeah,
move my
and you turned your head.
and then we walk on the beach and we're holding the flowers. And I literally say, I'm like, is this like, this feels like more like a funeral? And then I remember even saying to Winner, like we were all holding the flowers and she was singing. And I'm like to Winner, this feels like an endurance challenge. But yeah, I think that was, if not the funnest episode to watch. I think that was a really lighthearted, enjoyable episode to watch. So yeah.
Oh wow. Speaking of unpredictable things, the merge happens. It's the biggest one in Australian Survivor history. One question I had was during the deep dive you did with Shannon, you mentioned on day one you just kind of sat back and just watched. So I just wanted to hear why you did that and how that move may have helped you get deeper into the game.
Yeah. That first, when we all went back to camp with 14 of us, that was very, very overstimulating, number one, because that's 14 people and you haven't spoken to a lot of these people before, and everyone's mingling with everyone. And I said, okay, before I have conversations, before I even try to win the right person over or the wrong person over, I don't know if I win the right person over by having a conversation straight away. Like, what if I genuinely don't want, what if I didn't want to work with Eden at all, but Eden loved my strategy and wanted to work with me? And like that, to me, that's just going to be too much for my game. I want to have a clear outline on who I want to work with, and I want to speak with them, and I want to have the right conversations with them. So I sit back, and funnily enough, I just feel Kirby behind me, also sitting back and like watching everyone. And I remember looking back at her and being like, what the fuck's going on? She's like, let's just sit back and watch everyone. I'm like, okay. So yeah, like for example, I didn't speak to Eden that day, like hardly about anything. Eden, Kitty, Caroline, we did not have any like proper conversations that day. So I'm gonna watch people, see who's after who's working with who, and try to make some sense of it. Because you can't play a game that you don't know a background to. You can't, like, there's just no point. Because you're essentially starting from day one. If you do that, you're having new conversations again. You're making first judgments on day 25 when people already know judgments of certain people. You know, someone like Kirby has already met everyone. Like, I'm already on the back foot. So I needed to make sure I made the quickest amount of judgments and try to put pieces together, all the pieces together on both halves. Because keep in mind, I'm playing a one-half game this entire time. I don't know anything that's going on over there. So I need to know revenge stories. I need to know everything. And I know how messy this particular season was. So I needed to sit back and watch everything unfold. And the way it did, it gave me an instant, like, it was so obvious who was with who. So obvious. But it was whatever a love triangle is times 14, that's what it was, literally. Like, for example, like Mark was going for Caroline, but Eden wanted to work with Mark, and Kirby wanted to work with Valeria, but didn't really know Mark that much, and I didn't want to work with Valeria, but I also wanted to work with Kitty. Like, it was so messed up. So yeah, that really helped me understand people's characteristics, their alliances, who they're lying to. Like, it's so obvious when I saw Caroline, Kitty, and Valeria talk together, and I'm just like, Valeria, I just watched you like talk about how you're going to get them out the last 2 weeks, and you guys are strategizing right now. It's so entertaining. So you can see, like, okay, Caroline and Kitty are nervous because Valeria was close with Viola and she's out, so you can see that they're trying to patch things up and they're scared. So you can get so much from just sitting down and watching everyone, because when you're hungry and tired, things are very obvious and things are very emotional. So I think that was the perfect thing to do in such a big tribe. And I don't think it wouldn't have worked if the merge was smaller. You would have looked a lot dodgier if you were sitting in the back of like a 9-person merge. So yeah, it was probably the right thing to do.
Smart move.
So then we have one of the most unique episodes of the entire season, the first merge vote, where the game is almost put on hold, where Scott decides to leave the game and everyone stops and has a open discussion about mental health, which is something so important in Survivor. We see it in the US where they had discussions about race and other things. Like, how was it to kind of pause the game and just talk about Scott's issues, kind of wanting to leave?
Yeah, obviously it's a very, very sensitive issue, and you want to approach it in the most respectful way as possible. Like, but it's also a very hard line to balance when it's, day whatever, and you're hungry and you're also scared about the game, but you're also trying to be mindful of people's actual emotions, which obviously can be difficult sometimes. But once you realize someone like Scotty, that was smiling every day and joking every day and the most lighthearted guy, like he never had anything against anyone, and then all of a sudden you see him struggle like that, you're like, okay, we all need to just relax for a second and address something that's more important than the game, that's outside of it. And Scotty was very brave to sort of voice exactly how he felt. I know for a fact I would not be able to voice it in the way he voiced it. So much respect to him. And look, I completely got it. Like, I think at that point, everybody in that tribe had broken down at one point or another. I know my moment was right after the Garrick vote off, and that usually happens, and it's very interesting on Survivor. You usually break down, or you usually have these overwhelming emotions after something bad happens in the game. So, for example, I was bawling my eyes out when Garrick was gone, and the psychologist told me, because when you're on the back foot in the game, you automatically go to your safe place, which is home, and you think about home and you start to get really upset. And if you watch that episode, Scott came second to the balancing thing. And I think that's what sort of pushed him over the edge, where it's like, damn, like I was so close to winning, and he could have won the 60K, the 5K a month for the year. So I think I wouldn't say, obviously, that was not the reason, but I think there's some factors that happen in the game where it's just like, fuck, you know what? I'm done with this shit. Like, I want to go home. I miss home. I'm hungry. I'm tired. And that sort of exaggerates it in a way, like times it by 1,000. So I completely get where Scotty's coming from and where he did come from, and we all respected it. And yeah, it does get hard out there. So it was really hard to see, another person go through that. But complete and utter respect for him and speaking out, because I definitely wouldn't be able to do something like that.
Yeah, I think it's such an important episode of Survivor, and
Yeah.
all respect to Scott for kind of putting it out there and explaining how he was feeling. Like, yeah.
Completely agree.
Yeah. Well, not to completely segue away from this, but to the next vote. So, how much of a threat did you consider Winna to be, especially when he has win in his name?
Look, I didn't think of the win part. But he posed as a serious threat, though, I will say, because Winner at that point, he's physically, like, he's capable. He's physically capable to win challenges, number one. Number two, it's really worrying when it's day, I'm just gonna say 30. I'm just gonna assume it's 30. I don't know what day it is, but I'm assuming it's something like 30. When it's day 30,
Yeah.
and you have not heard this person's name pop up once, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's Winner is a real threat. He's not like anything. Like, he's a threat. He's a challenge threat. He's a social threat. He's not like anything to be laughed at. So the fact that you see someone like Winner and it's day 30 and not one person has even mentioned the Winner in a conversation, I'm like, well, he's clearly going to make it far if we don't do anything about it. And plus, he's part of my revenge plan, which is incredible. And plus, he's someone that doesn't seem to understand my logic, because it's one way to say, Ferris, I get where you're coming from, but I'm doing it my way. That's one thing, but it's another thing for you to tell me that I'm wrong when I'm not wrong. When I tell you proper logic of what has happened so far, and this is what will happen moving forward, and you say, Ferris, you are wrong, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I can't work with you if you genuinely can't see what I'm saying and like the facts. I can't work with you. I just can't. So I knew I couldn't work with him, and he was also attached to Valeria, and Valeria did not like me that much to work with me in the game. What? Isn't that weird?
What? Yeah, wow. I did not see that coming.
Yeah. So I was like, this is perfect. Winner it is. So when Caroline and Kitty came to me and they threw those names, I was like, not interested, not interested, not interested. Winner? Sure, let's do it. So yeah, that was absolutely perfect for me, and I jumped on that. So credit to Kitty and Caroline for putting in that work and having those conversations. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. I would have just voted normally wherever everyone else was voting with. So, yeah.
So then we get to one of the most entertaining episodes of the season where you read the Titans like a book. So you have the plan to take out Valeria, and things at Tribal Council go south, and you and Kirby and Raymond sense a shift, and you decide to put the vote on Eden. Kind of talk us through that Tribal Council, and you end up with a 6-6 tie. And kind of, if Jaden didn't flip, would you have been committed to Rox at that point?
Yeah, okay. I love talking about these episodes so much. It's so fun. Okay. So, number one, me not being a fan, I actually didn't know the full scale of Rox. Eden would have mentioned that too. A lot of people did not know what going to Rox meant. I just assumed when someone says they go to Rox, the first, like, it's just like saying, oh, we'll flip a coin. And I'm like, okay, we'll go to Rox. Whoever pulls the rock, they get out. Like, I just assumed if it's Ray and Eden and it's draw again, they just pull out Rox and the one with the black rock goes home. That's what I thought it was, okay? Keep in mind, if I did know what Rox meant, I still would have done the same thing. Because Raymond's like, who's going to go to Rox for Raymond if it's not me? So I definitely would have went to Rox, not knowing that I would have been in trouble, obviously. I still would have went to Rox. But there was a lot that wasn't shown in that episode. There was a lot of suspicion. I caught onto the suspicion. Kirby actually confirmed. So Kirby came up to me after, and she's like, listen, at this point, me and Kirby are kind of working together under the radar. Because she's working with Valeria's side and all that jazz, and I'm working with my side. So she comes up to me and she's like, listen, that side, they're talking about writing Ray's and Eileen's name down. And then I was like, okay, firstly, I don't know how much I can trust Kirby, because we haven't really voted together yet, like ever since fucking Kelly. I don't know how much I trust Kirby, so I'll just make the judge by myself. So there was information out there that Ray's name could possibly be put down. And then, but in my head, I was like, I don't know who's making those suggestions. I don't know if I can trust Kirby. I don't know anything. So I'm watching Eden making jumps around camp. Eden's not speaking to me as much. Kitty is a horrible liar. Caroline, also horrible liar. So keep in mind, before camp, before walking onto Tribal Council, in my head, I was like, they are not voting with us. I don't know what's going to happen tonight, but all I know is they're not voting with us. Now my next job is to turn this around and make sure that one of my people that don't go home. How am I going to do that? I need to speak to Eileen. I need to speak to Ray. I need to speak to whoever it is I need to speak to at Tribal Council. because this happened last minute. This is like there's 5 minutes left and I'm watching people talk and stuff. So we get to tribal council and you can see the second I sit down, I'm immediately fixed. I'm already locked on and I know they're not voting with us, but I also need to make sure Eileen can see that as well. And Eileen isn't thinking I'm telling her where to vote because I'm not that tyrant that Valeria thinks I am. Because keep in mind, I'm still trying to fix that part up. So I'm like, I'm whispering to Eileen, I'm like, just watch them. Watch, number one, how they're all seated. Listen to the questions JLP is asking. Listen to the answer. Like people were saying, oh, it's so obvious, Valeria and stuff. They all came back and they were all happy together, but they don't realize tribal council goes for about an hour and a half. Like there's so many things going on. So you don't notice those things. Well, you do notice seating arrangements and questions. So I noticed seating arrangements, it's split down the middle. And then I noticed the questions that he's asking is all Titans versus Rebels related. It's not like the theme of the questioning is, so is it Titans versus Rebels? And Titans went to the barbecue and Rebels stayed at camp and all this jazz. And I'm like, okay, literally in that moment, I'm like, okay, if this is played on TV and the viewer's watching and they're watching a bunch of questions from JLP ask about Titans versus Rebels, who's fucking going home? What's happening tonight? Like, that's literally what I'm thinking. Like, I put myself, because when you watch the episode, you're like, fuck, it's so obvious who's going home. Look at the questions JLP's asking. It's such a specific thing that's happening tonight where it's at Titans versus Rebels. It is so bloody obvious when he's asking those questions. So I'm like, okay, the plan's not going according to plan. Okay, something's wrong. I need to make sure. And I need to be very straight to the point and just tell them, write Eden's name down. Don't say anything else. Nothing else. Because what I started to realize, the more I talked, the worse I was. You just need to be very simple. The more I sounded like a salesman, the more I talked. So in that moment, Kirby picks up on it as well. She picks up on the seating arrangement. So she says there's a shift. And then I caught on. Raymond's looking at me for an answer. Like, what do we do? What are we doing? So I dropped the words, write Eden's name down. And then right before I dropped those words, Eileen confirms. She goes, okay, I think you might be right. Once she confirms, once she is happy, then I say, write Eden's name down. I got Eileen, Raymond, Kirby's got Rihanna. Alex just wants to be a part of a correct vote for once in his life. So that happens, and the rest is history. But funny enough, that's actually connected to the winner vote from the previous one. Mm-hmm. So when I worked with Eden and Caroline and Kitty, I mentioned to them, leave Jaden out of it. You guys don't have Jaden. You think you have Jaden, you don't have Jaden. I know Jaden. Jaden's some young bloke from Western Sydney. You think he's going to get along with you guys over winner? No, he's not. I know how he is. So I tell them, I'm like, leave Jaden out of this vote for winner. Because I knew eventually he's going to be dirty, and guess who he's going to look at? Them, not me. Like, he doesn't know me.
Right.
So I'm like, leave Jaden out of it. We'll leave Alex out of it as well, because I know for a fact Alex has been lying to me and like trying to be all secretive. So we'll leave him out of it as well. See what happens. And then the rest is history. Pissed off Jaden, and it all connected together eventually. So it worked out absolutely perfect that day.
Yeah. This one's for winner lad.
Oh, that's such a good, like, from start to finish, the whole irony behind Eden teaching Jaden and everything. It's
Yeah.
Earlier you said you don't like going after Eden, but in some cases, like in Survivor, it's important for Eden to go first.
Exactly. I completely agree.
Before my next question, not only were you right that winner went home on day 30, it is exactly 1 year ago today was when that vote happened. So
shut up, really?
Yeah.
30th of August. Wow.
Coming off two big back-to-back moves, getting Winna and then Eden. You now lose an ally in Eileen thanks to Kirby. So how did that feel? Because you're on such a high, and then now you're a little bit lower.
It was okay. It was actually okay. It didn't hurt as much as it did because, number one, I knew Eileen had to be cut eventually. Because if Eileen is already talking about getting me out at Titans Beach, and it's merge time, it's pretty damn close to when Eileen's probably going to flip on me, right? So that's when I'm like, okay, this is when I'm okay to cut Eileen off. I didn't know Eileen was going home that day. I did know Kirby was going to go for Eileen. Kirby actually told me. So that night, so this explains the whole wedge comment. So that night, she pretty much said, she's like, listen, I really, really want to work with you, and I'm being serious this time, but Eileen is a wedge between us. She's like, she's getting in the way of me working with you. She doesn't want me to work with you because, yeah, whatever reason, feels threatened or whatever reason she came up with. So I'm like, okay, I completely understand that. I'm kind of okay to do that because I know eventually Eileen's going to cut me off, and I know it's probably in your best interest to work with me. So that's fine. Go for gold. Like, I thank you for telling me. So I knew eventually Kirby was going to get her out. Did not know it was going to happen that day, which makes me seem kind of dumber in a way because I knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
And then a couple of days like before that, Kirby tells me, but I can't put two and two together that day for some reason. I don't know what's going on. And yeah, she blindsides Eileen, and it does hurt a bit. But then when she goes, I'm like, okay, I just got to move forward. So eventually, like immediately, I go to Kirby. I'm like, the wedge is gone. We can work together now. Let's do it. You said you wanted to work. Let's do it. You got the best of me tonight. Let's work together. So yeah, that's exactly what we did, and the rest is history from there.
Yeah. So Eileen goes, and then at that point, you guys are gonna gun for Alex now, but Raymond flips the vote and votes out Jaden instead. So what happened there? What were your thoughts on that?
This would have been the best episode if it weren't for that part. I genuinely think it would have been the best episode if it weren't for, no, sorry, let me correct that. If we got the message to Rihanna clear enough, that would be, I'm sorry, but that's probably my second favorite tribal council, because you see me on one end and Kirby on the other, and just like having a full-blown conversation with our eyes and lips, like completely. So to give some context to this as to why we called it straight away at Tribal Council, is because I knew Raymond eventually, he was having enough. I saw Raymond agitated around that time, and he started to realize, I want to make moves. I want to make a big move. I want to make a move of my own. I don't want to be seen as Ferris's sidekick. I want my own game. And I completely respect that. And he wanted Kirby out. And me just getting rid of Eileen, kind of want to start working with Kirby. So that didn't work for me. But I saw it in his eyes. He just wanted a big move, that guy. So I had a feeling something was going to happen. Eventually, we talk, blah, blah, blah. Strategies happen. Everything's going fine. We go to tribal council, and then something odd happens. Ray, for the first time in the past 15, 16 tribal councils, is not sitting next to me. For the first time, he's not sitting next to me, and he's sitting in between who? Mark and Alex. Why? What? And then Kirby immediately pick this up. She's on one end, I'm on the other. We're looking at each other. We're like, what's going on? Something's going on. Like, this doesn't seem right. And then I start seeing Alex speak to Raymond and Mark speak to Raymond. I'm like, okay, come on, Ferris, think. What do they all have in common? What common interests do they have? Why are they speaking? These are the most random three talking together. Raymond wants to make a big move. Alex has an idol. And Mark wants to completely flip the votes compared to like yesterday or the day before. That's what they all have in common. And Raymond knows where the votes are going. So in other words, Alex is about to play an idol for Val. That's literally the conclusions that I made then and there. Alex is going to play an idol for Val. We need to change our votes from Val. So I see all that happen. Me and Kirby are watching, and we're like, okay, we need to change our votes. And that's when I say, Alex, like we look at, you kind of see me, I kind of like point to Alex, and she's like, Alex? I'm like, yes. I tell Kitty, she tells Jaden, Rihanna's in the middle. We're like, Rihanna? Alex. And I think when Rihanna saw Kirby, I could be wrong, but this makes the most sense. I think she thought she said relax rather than Alex. So she's like, all good. And I absolutely regret not getting up and telling her, because that would have been a split vote. That would have been a draw. And then Ray would definitely flip back to my side. And that would have been just another live tribal council that worked out perfectly. But yeah, unfortunately, Rihanna didn't get the message and we were one vote short. And yeah, eventually got rid of Jaden. I was so pissed off. And I wasn't pissed off because Ray did what he did. I didn't care. I want Ray to make the moves that he makes. Yeah. I was just angry. I wasn't like I didn't catch on earlier. I was angry at myself. So it is what it is. But yeah, that would have been a fantastic tribal if he actually worked.
Oh, for sure.
Sorry, while you were talking, I texted Rihanna to see what she would say about what you just said. And she said, that's editing, my friend. I had no idea. So
no. Okay, well, there you go. I wish I got up and I said something to Rihanna, because that would have been so cool if that happened. But it is what it is.
So then we get to one of the most unique advantages in Survivor history with Raymond's popcorn advantage.
I'm sorry. I'm just,
I know.
Just as I think, fuck, they just talked about one of the best episodes.
And then we get the next
one.
Yeah, this episode is great.
Right, yes, tell me. Yeah.
And an advantage that will never work again because Raymond played it so perfectly. There was so much room for failure for this advantage. Kind of what was your role in making sure that this actually was pulled off?
Yeah, there was so I remember even feeling quite helpless that time. So after Eileen gets voted off, Jaden gets voted off, I'm feeling a bit down because I'm like, okay, I've lost 2 tribals in a row. This hasn't been a good week for me. Jaden would have been a great addition. This actually would have been a great alliance. Me, Jaden, Ray, Kirby, Rihanna. That's a very solid 5. You can't break that 5. So I was really excited about that one. So when that happened, the next day I was really down in the dumps. Sorry, it wasn't the next day. I'm lying. It was a couple of days after. It was when Raymond finally has the advantage and he tells me about the advantage. And he tells me and I'm like, this is amazing. This is incredible. This is exactly what I need. What do you need, Ray, from me to make this happen? The smart move, but I would have like what the right move would have been is to plant this advantage, give it to someone else that would actually play it. And then stuff up their advantage and send them home. That's the move. But because Ray told me when there was 2 tribal councils left, we couldn't use that idea. Because you could only use it within 3 tribal councils. So if you decide to change it up and give it to someone after, when there's 2 tribal councils left, they're going to think they have 3. So that's not going to work. Well, okay, we need to work with this. And then he tells me what he's planning. And I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm like, man, this is going to happen. This is incredible. And I'm so excited for so many different reasons because I'm about to see the reaction on Valeria's face. This whole thing going on national TV, and I'm about to witness the most entertaining thing to happen. So I'm watching Ray for, keep in mind, 6 days. I would say at least 6 days. This guy's not eating rice. He's not eating beans. I'm sure he's thinking coconuts, somewhere. But he's definitely not eating in front of everyone, which is actually very hard to do because we're always sitting in front of the food or by the food or whatever. So we were like, okay, there's a bunch of hurdles here that we need to address for this to actually work because this is so stupid. Number one, we need to address the fact that why you are not quitting and why you want people to write your name down. That's a very big one. And I've come up with this idea that Raymond is such a massive Survivor fan, and if he's gonna go out, he wants to go out breaking a record or making some sort of history in Australian Survivor. Why not it be the first and largest unanimous vote in Australian Survivor history? Let's give something to Ray. Like, he's upset. Let's give him something to walk out on. So that sort of patches up the whole quit thing. Why we weren't voting Raymond's name down when Scott just quit 2 weeks ago. So
Right.
that fixes that. Second issue is how do we ensure everyone's going to write his name down? It was saying something nice about Ray. it was Raymond's feeling very down. And I know that idea isn't 1,000% foolproof, but it takes a very scummy human being to say something incredibly nice about someone you think is actually upset and write someone else's name down. Like, you wouldn't do that on Survivor, just in case you were wrong. So I'm like, it's technically a foolproof plan. So I tell them, I'm like, let's all say something nice about Ray. Let's make sure that, we're giving a good greeting, like something, whatever. And it was the most cringiest shit I had to go through. But it was hilarious. And that way I could see whether or not I should play an idol for Ray, because I would have played an idol for Ray if I smelt something was a bit off. And then that I made sure those two things had happened, and I constantly reinforced how much, if someone takes advantage of this situation, how much it's going to piss me off. And I think at that point, everyone knew how close Ray was to me, literally very close. So I think everyone was just scared of pissing Ray off or pissing me off, or like doing the wrong thing with Ray. They didn't want to be the person. They didn't want to be that one person to be the person why poor Ray doesn't get to go home. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I kept reinforcing that. And then I saw Kirby look a bit nervous, and then at Tribal I see her sort of move the whole necklace thing, and then I'm like, fucking hell, Kirby. Like, if what you just didn't stuff everything up, I don't know what like, why are we doing something like this? So in the Tribal, you see me say, if anyone takes advantage of this situation, like, there's going to be problems, as Kirby was moving. And this is me subliminally telling Kirby, don't do anything stupid. We're working together. We're going to make this happen. Like, it's me talking to Kirby, really, in front of everyone. And then that's when Kirby sort of responds to JLP saying, oh, no, I'm just, we're all good here. So we're literally having a conversation in front of everyone and nobody knows. So yeah, that happens and he goes through it and I'm just over the moon. I'm like, I can't believe we pulled something like this off. This is never going to happen again. We have set a precedent in Survivor. So yeah, it was such a fun episode to do.
Yeah, it was really fun to watch too, and like even how much you guys were playing it off. Like, I love just Raymond like laying face down in the dirt and just looking so dejected. Like,
can I just tell you, we felt so bad because there was literally a moment where Mark and Alex, they sat next to Ray, and I sat next to Ray as well, and they were like, man, like, we love you. Like, they were being so beautiful towards Ray, and in my head, I'm such a dick for doing that. But it was good, very lighthearted. Thankfully, nobody got super pissed off. Like, we understood where the game was at and what was appropriate to do and what was inappropriate to do. We understood who was. So I think, on one side on the screens it may look a certain way, but on the other, when you're actually living it, it just looks like Raymond's hungry and wants to go home. Like, it's really nothing more than that. But yeah, it was a really enjoyable episode.
Well, the next one is when you finally get rid of the last remaining member of the Cuddle Crew and Alex. So my question is, what was it like to play with this season's Simon?
Alex he's such a cool guy, number one. I will say he's a great guy, but he really pissed me off on Survivor. And I think he knows that as well. And I'm sure I pissed him off as well. But they didn't show a lot of me and Alex. What they showed was me ditching Alex for no reason. But there was a reason, I'm telling you. Like, there is a reason for everything I did. Like, what idiot would just drop a number for no reason? Like, so what happened was, the story behind Alex is Alex was someone similar to Eileen, where I was sort of testing the relationship. I was working with them, but I was being very wary of who they were speaking to and what I would say to them. And I found out that Alex, he's telling everyone that I have an idol. And sorry, I'm backtracking here because I feel like you guys missed out on this little piece of information. But pretty much everyone was confused. I had an idol. I never showed anyone my idol except for Raymond. The closest person to actually seeing my idol was actually Alex. And there was one time where I needed Alex to trust me and I needed him on my side. So he was like, man, I need to know if you have this idol or not. And I'm like, that's already a bit dodgy because it seems like someone's sending you to find out if I have an idol or not. So I'm like, you know what, man? I'm going to do you a favor. I get my bag and I don't show him the idol yet. I'm like, feel my bag. He feels my bag and he feels the idol, but he doesn't see it yet. Fast forward, I find out Alex has told everyone he's felt my idol. Now, thank God I didn't show it to him because they all asked him, did you see it? And he was like, no. And they were like, well, he doesn't have a fucking idol. You felt it, you idiot. Like they're all going hard at Alex, poor Alex, but really he did feel my idol. And then it's funny because people would come up to me and they'd rat Alex out. They'd be like, oh, Alex told us that he felt your idol. Is that true? And on our bag, there's actually an idol badge on it.
Oh,
Yeah. Said, no, I didn't. I made him feel it. He felt the idol on our bag. Like, that's why he didn't see it, the idiot. And they were like, oh, thank God, we can't trust Alex, right? I'm like, yeah. And then so I would know, okay, Alex is out. I can't work with Alex. So he's sacked. And I wake up that morning after the Eileen vote and everything. I wake up that morning and I see Alex speaking to Valeria and Mark, and I see him mention my name. I hear all of that and I say, okay, I'm not working with Alex anymore. He's throwing my name out. He's telling people I have an idol. Bye, Alex. See you later. So that's when I go to the well with Kirby and Jade and Rihanna, and we discuss the whole thing about Alex. And yeah, he was so fun to watch and he was fun to play with it and he was a fun character. But yeah, I just feel like poor guy, I feel like he just couldn't catch a break. And I think a lot of that is based on the yeah.
So after Alex goes, then in back-to-back tribals, two of the challenge beasts, Rihanna and Kirby, go next. Was this part of your plan to get rid of the final immunity challenge threats?
Yeah, so Rihanna was staying way too long. Like, she's a challenge beast, and what is this top 7 now? Like, come on,
Yeah.
we need to get her out. So wait, so who's gone home after Alex?
It's Rihanna and then
Yeah.
Kitty.
Yeah, Rihanna. So yeah, I think that is that's where I guess the female alliance, the female alliance. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, we're a man down. There's 7 people, me, Mark, Ray, and then the 4 girls. And then in my head, I'm like, okay, the next option is I need to get as close with Kirby as possible, but I know that there's a female alliance. I know. Like I have played with her long enough to realize if there's ever a top 8 and it's split down the middle between boys and girls, Alex is gonna suggest the boys club and Kirby is gonna suggest the girls club. I just know it. Like, it is what it is. I don't play like that. I don't care what gender you are. I want to win. So I knew that Kirby would be the top 2, and she hasn't had any bad blood between Caroline and Kitty. Rihanna's worked with Caroline and Kitty. There is no way Kirby is not suggesting a girls' alliance. There just isn't. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to just throw shit at the wall and hopefully it works. And it works. We turn sort of Caroline and Kitty against Kirby. We end up getting Rihanna out, and that's a huge relief because I can now start looking somewhat good in challenges now that she's gone, but apparently that doesn't go according to plan and I still continue to lose. But can I just say, you know what? This is bullshit because I had horrible luck in all those challenges, and I will happily explain it to you guys one time. But I was so pissed off. I actually could have won the Semotion one. The Semotion one, we actually had to stop halfway because Kirby didn't place her ball properly. And Mark's ball, apparently, one of the people there told me that Mark's ball was about to drop. And Kirby's ball was about to drop, and I was about to win. Like they had to pause it. They were like, sorry, you have to restart because Kirby didn't put her ball in the correct way. And they were like, we need to make sure everything is fair. So we restarted and then Mark wins it. Yeah, I know. But look, regardless, yeah, Rihanna's out. I'm feeling slightly more confident in challenges. But yeah, that's where we're at.
And then Kitty's gonna go right after, who is seems like another great challenge performer. So I mean, I'm guessing that was another reason to get rid of Kitty next.
Yeah, so Kitty would have been the next one because obviously as we're getting closer and closer, we want to get rid of these challenge beasts. And I think that's when Caroline tries to make her move on on me,
Yeah.
which is hilarious. That's a really funny episode as well because you can sort of see me hiding my expressions and hiding my emotions in that tribal council because when Caroline gets up, I'm like, what's happening? This is top 6. Why are people playing idols? What's going on? So obviously my heart sinks, but in the episode I'm just like I'm screaming on the inside when she gets up. But then I realize I've got an idol. I'm good. I'm sweet. So she plays it wrong. And if it wasn't for that, I would have been very close to a perfect game because I would have completely nullified the other votes. Fucking Caroline was the only vote.
So close, only one vote.
It was
Perfect game.
yeah, it was quite close, but it is what it is. But yeah, I was crapping myself when she got up, but once Kitty left, I was like, okay, now I think that was the first moment where I'm like, now I actually have a real shot of winning. Yeah. So it was very, very exciting when that worked out.
So now Kirby makes a pitch that maybe you could play your idol for her and save her at final 5. And based on the edit, I think as a viewer, I was like, maybe that is what we're gonna get here for final 2. Was there ever any consideration that the best versus the best go up at the end together at final 2 for you, or just no?
Somewhat. Only because, okay, this whole best of the best didn't get me. That genuinely did not sell me. That wasn't what was selling. What was selling me was like like a great final tribal council that I wanted to give people because I've been playing this entire game for myself, but also for viewers. Like I've obviously put it on a bit more for viewers. I've said certain comments just for the sake of making things entertaining. So when Kirby sold this whole thing, I'm like, fuck, this would be incredible television. Like this will be amazing. This would be the greatest season of all time if we made it to the end. So that is what was selling me. I didn't care if she kept saying I was the best. I didn't give a shit. It was nothing about that. It was more so I wanted to make the coolest season ever. I want this to be the season. And then I thought, but I also like $500,000. As much as I love all of you viewers, you guys will win if we don't get a Rebels Feras final tribal council. I'm sure you guys can forgive me for the decision I made.
I think based on what we were seeing, I think it was the right decision.
Yeah, might have. In that moment, he actually was one of the toughest decisions, only because I actually built a strong connection with her as well. It wasn't as easy as I thought it would have been, previously writing Kirby's name down. Fuck yeah, you don't have to pay me anything. Right? But yeah, now it seems to be a bit harder because there's less people, there's more time in the day, you start to connect a bit more. And you start to realize, oh, holy shit, I'm actually really close with this person now. Like, that's when it starts to hit your human side that you're about to rob someone, like completely rob someone. And it is hard. And I will say, I didn't make the decision yet up until we sat at the tribal council and I looked at the jury and I said, I don't think I can win this if I sit next to her. Not because she was a better player. This is what I genuinely believed. I felt that Kirby's moves were a lot more out there and a lot more visible compared to my moves. I didn't think she was a better player. I thought she's a fantastic player and deserves to win 1,000%. And if she did beat me, I'd say, okay, that makes complete sense. Congratulations. Like, it is what it is. But when I see someone like Kirby, there's no way I can explain all of. How do I explain to half these people that haven't seen my game? How do I explain any of this? How do I explain to them that, you know, I was the one that came up with the winner vote, not Caroline? Like, Caroline mentioned that, but I'm the one who confirmed it. I made it happen. Like, how do I convince these people when you have Kirby on the other hand, publicly blindsiding Eileen, Garrick, and everyone?
Right.
I was like, I'm going to struggle a lot more in my speech if I sit next to her in the end. I do think my game stacks up against her. It's just a matter of communicating it, and I don't think I'll be able to communicate it as well.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I think this is the time. Ray kept drilling into my head, get her out. Mark looks at me once and says, don't be stupid. So play my idol for myself, send her home, and immediately regret it the next day when I lose the challenge.
Well, so also in that round, you planted a fake idol for Raymond to find. And so what made you decide to do that? And did Kirby actually know about you doing that?
Yeah, Kirby did know, which is a bit messed up because now that I think of it, like, I bet Kirby was like, why don't you do that for me and not me? Like, literally. So that's pretty messed up that she knew. So good on her for being such a good sport about it.
Right.
But yeah, what I didn't want to happen was another idol to be found. I didn't need any more factors happening with such a small amount of people. So I needed, and I just felt like if they went out there, they were going to find something, because if anyone knows anything about Survivor, we make the game interesting and keep the game interesting. So honestly, like, yeah. So I needed to make sure they would stop looking, and I come up with this idea, and I'm like, there's actually no way this can fail. There's no way this can fail. So on day 9, I find my second idol, and I keep the remains of the idol on the Rebels beach. And I actually got really upset why they didn't show this, because there's footage of me burying my remains and everything. So I bury the remains of the idol, which is like the whole string, the paper, whatever, everything that comes with it. I bury it, I put it under a rock on Rebels Beach. I play the game, I go to Titans, I come back to Rebels, and it's day 43 or whatever. And then I need them to stop fighting the idol. And then I remember on day 9, I hid the remains of an idol. I go riding to this rock, I lift up, and again, they recorded all of this. I don't know why none of it was shown. I lift up the rock and I find the remains. I'm like, thank God it's still here. I wrap up my idol, put the note, everything, like completely legit. There is no way they're gonna not believe this. Give it to Ray, and I'm like, please, for the love of God, just make it like, don't make it obvious. Don't go to the first fucking tree you see and get the idol. Like, look for a bit, struggle, you know, like, do the whole process. He's like, done. Amazing. So I go meet him. I go to where Mark is, and all I see is bloody Raymond running. He goes to the first tree, gets the idol, and walks away. And in my head, I'm like, and then you see Mark in the confessional saying, buy that tree like 5 times. So Raymond does it, but it still works. It works. It brings them back from camp. It also saves him, like, although he probably wouldn't have gone home, but like, it keeps him safe as well. It's utilizing the idol in more fun and interesting ways, not just the same boring old way. So yeah, it worked out. It really, really, like, I made such good use out of that bloody idol.
Yeah, and plus your idol lasted like over 30 days, so basically played a new era season and then some. So.
It's stupid. It makes no sense how long I kept it for, and it was a public idol. Like,
It's incredible.
This is what I'm telling you but that's what I'm telling you. Like that's my game. It's stupid why he's held it for that long. Like just fucking play the idol, but it works for some reason. So that's what it is.
You
At-
can't argue with results.
which is true. Well, speaking of results, you lose the Final Four Immunity Challenge, and you give a very emotional confessional about
Yeah.
saying that you let people down and you don't deserve to be there. Was this one of the lowest points for you, especially because I believe it was your birthday on that day?
Yeah. Yes, it was. It was my birthday that day. That was the worst day ever, I swear to God. Yeah, so I felt really, really bad because number one, I was like, Kirby would have smashed this challenge. Like she really would have. She would have absolutely killed it. Her shooting skills are second to none. So I felt really crappy because I felt like, well, now I'm going home now, and neither Kirby or Ferris is going to be our final tribal council. So I felt really shitty about that because Kirby again, she was very close to me. I felt like I kind of like if I didn't rob myself of $500,000, I felt like I robbed her of $500,000. And I think that spoke towards how genuine that relationship was as well. But I also thought like it's day 45, and I could possibly be going home now. Like it's and I'm just, can you imagine? Like it's day 45, you're 2 days out from possibly winning, and you probably just made a decision that would have ruined your entire game the day before, and you just lost the challenge. So it's a lot to like really hold on to. And then I remember up until that interview, I was bawling my eyes out. Even after that, you could see it on my face when I lose that challenge. Mind you, that editing in that episode is amazing. When I lose, like I don't think they even showed Mark winning as
Yeah.
much. They don't show him celebrating as much. They just showed me about to break down crying. So after that confessional, I remember I'm like, I'm going back to camp and I'm fighting for my life, but in a smart way. Okay, I'm not gonna just say, "Oh, vote for Raymond." No, no, no. I'm gonna complain about my shoulder, and I'm gonna talk about how good I am at making fire. That's it. That's all I'm doing. I'll make deals just in case, but I'm not gonna go through with those deals. But those are the things I'm doing. I'm not doing anything else. I'm gonna keep complaining about my shoulder, and I'm gonna keep talking about how I'm an incredible fire maker. Those are the two things I'm doing. Why? Because that means my name's not getting written down.
Right.
That means Mark or Caroline can think that they can beat me in an endurance challenge in the final challenge because Ferris has a popped out shoulder. Or we don't want Caroline going home because Ferris is a great fire maker. So you know what? Let's just get Ray out. Let's beat Ferris at the end. That's exactly what happened. So that's why I wasn't biting back at anything Mark was doing or saying. I never really bit back in general. I knew what was my process, what I needed to do, and how I was going to win. And if that meant like poor Ray losing in fire, then I wasn't going to betray him. I wanted him to get a fighting chance. That happens, and I think that scene is my favorite scene of all of Survivor, like this season of Ray doing the fire. He's like chopping the wood, and then it like pans to my face, and like it shows me slowly losing hope in Ray. And you hear the clicks slowly slow down as it pans into like Ray's face. It's like incredible editing. But yeah, that was the whole thought process, and it worked out perfectly. And I was like, okay, I seriously need to win this last challenge, otherwise I'm going to be a laughing stock because it's ridiculous how I've made it this far and I'm not out yet. Like, yeah. So yeah.
All right, well, then I guess going into the last challenge, so the Ferris wheel happens. Not only what was it like to unexpectedly have your wife there, because I believe your brother was originally going to be there.
Yes.
So your wife being there, did that help you go longer in the challenge, especially because, as you said, you had a hurt shoulder?
Yeah. It really, really did. I remember, so the reason why I wanted my brother there is because I knew my brother was gonna hype me up a lot more than what my wife was gonna hype me up. I knew my wife would be just crapping herself the entire time. But thankfully she ended up coming in, and I did want her to come. She was the only person I wanted to see then and there. But yeah, it really, really did help me. But I will say what helped me the most is before that challenge, we were waiting for the challenge, and I started to get really frustrated with Mark. And I was like, this guy keeps winning these challenges and I keep losing. And I think it's because I've just become comfortable with him. And he's just a nice guy. I haven't hated him enough to want to beat him. I need to hate this guy, but I can't hate him. So what do I do? And this is hilarious. I'm like watching him and we're waiting before the challenge. We're sitting on the floor and I'm watching him and he's laying on the ground and he's like sleeping and relaxing. And I'm just picturing in my head slapping him. And I've told him this. I'm like, I need to hate this man so I can get angry and win. And then I do something even more messed up, and please don't judge. I walk like to a place where I'm by myself and I start slapping the shit out of myself. Like my face. I'm like, I need to get riled up. Ferris, you've been too nice, too kind. You're not arguing with anyone at Tribal. You keep losing. Like, get some fire in you. That's what I started telling myself. So I'm telling you with all my force, I'm slapping my face. I get riled up. I see my wife, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not losing. I'm just not. I didn't give a shit if my feet fall off. I'm winning the last challenge. So yeah, end up winning that, and it was incredible. It was such a good feeling to be able to win that last challenge, knowing that you've lost every other challenge before.
Because of bad luck. Because of bad luck.
Bad luck. Yes, bad luck. I don't know if you guys realize, but if you have massive feet on Survivor and shitty balance, you're not winning any challenges. Okay. Ow.
So you win the last immunity, you head into the final tribal, or the penultimate tribal council, and you get the great reaction from Raymond as he walks in. And so what influenced your decision to take Caroline to the end and vote Mark out?
Because Mark would have absolutely destroyed me in a speech. That's why. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like Mark would have done incredibly at that speech against anyone, to be honest. Honestly, against anyone. I think he is so good with dealing with that stuff, and I suck at it. So I was like, okay, and as well as like Caroline had some people that she clashed heads with. Obviously, we saw. But she has mended those relationships on the shows and whatever. But that's what we saw. We saw that Caroline, she rubbed a person off the wrong way. She rubbed Valeria off the wrong way. She rubbed Jaden off the wrong way. Mark didn't do any of that. Everyone, no one had an issue with Mark. So I'm like, okay, I need to be sitting next to Caroline. I feel like I would have the best chances at winning if it was next to Caroline. Not to take anything away from her game. She played incredible, and I thought she was an incredible contender. But I thought that at that time, that's the best chance of winning. Yeah, Mark would have done phenomenal.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, you head into final tribal council. You end up winning in a unanimous vote. How did you feel going into final tribal? Like, who did you think you had locked up votes, and did it go how you expected?
No, it didn't go how I expected at all. So when I walking into that tribal, I was confident. I did feel confident. I felt like, okay, I've got a good chance. I've got some decent people on that jury that I feel like I've locked up. And I feel like I felt good. I felt nervous, but I felt really good. Keep in mind, you're exhausted that day, and it's the last day, and you want to go home. You don't care about $500,000. You don't care about anything. Genuinely, all you want to do is sleep in a nice bed that night, and you want to eat a steak. That's all I'm thinking about. And you walk into tribal council and you start the speech, and keep in mind that speech was heavily edited, very edited. But I will say I wasn't. I'm not saying it was a superb tribal council either. Like, I sucked with answering some questions, but I'm saying the general speech about making moves and certain moves, what moves I did, I mentioned everything. from start to finish. I mentioned helping Ray out. I mentioned Charles and Winner. I mentioned the whole thing. So I was really confident walking in. Walking out, I was not confident because of the jury. I was like, that was the toughest jury. And keep in mind, they cut out some questions as well. Like, not everything made it. Like, it was constant. And we were getting hammered and grilled for about 20 minutes. I was going back and forth with Kitty, explaining to her why I did guess the female alliance correctly. And she disagreed with me for 20 minutes straight. So I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm pitching $2,500,000 right now. I'm not going to sit here arguing with someone about a move. Are you kidding me? So I just move on from that. So I think that's why a lot of it was cut out as well. But yeah, after walking out, I was like, I genuinely don't know if I won that or not. Like I don't know if I won that battle. So it was quite nerve-wracking. And it seemed like a lot of people were pissed off with how everything turned out, but it is what it is. Yeah, I was surprised about getting a 9 vote. I was surprised that Kitty voted for me. I was so surprised. I didn't think the people that I genuinely thought I wasn't going to get a vote guaranteed was I didn't think Valeria would vote for me, and I didn't think Kitty would vote for me. The rest was either a yes or I have no idea where their vote's going. But the guaranteed no's I thought would have been Valeria and Kitty. So I was very surprised when I saw that. But yeah, very humbled. But at the same time, like Caroline played an incredible game, and she definitely deserved minimum votes,
Right.
at least. Yeah.
Well, you also played in an incredible game and looked like you were having fun. One of my favorite questions to ask survivors is when you think about Survivor and you close your eyes, what do you see?
What do I see? Honestly, I see fucking Raymond next to me. I see Raymond next to me trying to whisper in my ear during the night. Yeah. Honestly, because I was tending to the fire at night, that's what I see a lot. When you tell me Survivor, I think of nighttime, 3 a.m., waves crashing, wind blowing ridiculously hard, and you're trying to keep the fire up. That's what I think. That's all I remember. Even after, like, I dreamt about it every day. I don't think a lot of people realize the mental effects it has on you. I was really stuffed up for a couple months, and like keep in mind, I didn't know I've won. We only know that we win once we watch it. So that's 6 months of not having an end to your story. So it really affected a lot of my life after. Like you'd wake up in the middle of the night and then you'd be like, I'm on the beach right now. Like you'd literally think you're on the beach. I need to get up. The fire's out. And then you're like, oh shit, no, I'm just in my room. Or like you would see like the smoke alarm in the roof, and then you'd think that's like a camera recording you. Like it's those small things where it like really starts to mess with you after. But yeah, I constantly think of sleeping next to Raymond, unfortunately. Thankfully, my wife's a lot prettier than Raymond. Yeah.
So my final question for you is, we asked Eden this as well, the Mount Rushmore of Survivor Australia. If the parameters are social, strategic, physical, and an all-rounder, what do you think the Mount Rushmore of Survivor Australia is?
Oh, that's a great question. Strategic, George. All-rounder, David. Physical, I would actually choose. Oh, who's the best physical? I really liked Emmett. I really like probably Emmett. Probably Emmett.
You picked the same as Eden. That's so
Yeah.
Yeah, you picked the exact same as
Yeah.
Wait, is anyone? Oh, social. Who's social? Damn it! I don't know about social. Who's?
Kelly. I mean,
Think
it's
about it.
Kelly.
Jordan.
Jordy.
Jordy.
That's a good
Or
one.
yeah, Jordy. I would have said Sean, but Jordy. Yeah, I don't know. One or the other.
Yeah.
You can put yourself in there too.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, me. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a decent social player. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you can be on there.
For sure.
Each of those people have legacies, so I'm going to switch this up and ask you about your legacy. If you could pick 1 to 3 words to describe your own Survivor legacy, what would you pick those 1 to 3 words to be?
Revolutionizing an idol.
Perfect. Wow.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
I think that's perfect for it. Yeah.
Well, we can't wait to see you play again. Maybe in like a month in Australia versus the world. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll just have to wait and see. Now, who knows? Genuinely, I hope I am back another time because I think I would have even more fun the second time round. So yeah, I would absolutely love to. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope to see you again out there. I did want to bring up a couple more things. So my thing, I don't know if you remember, but back when your season was airing, my Vanquish friend Melissa, she had messaged you about a day I was having a really rough day, and that she asked you if you would message me, and you messaged me, and we talked on Instagram. Yeah.
Holy crap! Are you serious?
Yeah, and you really made my day.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad I did. Thankfully. Oh, that's so good. I love that.
Yeah, thank you for that, because I was having a really rough day. I had a job I was working that I didn't like, and so it really was ruining my week, my day, and so you really helped me. So thank you.
I appreciate it. I'm so glad I did, man, honestly. And I hope whatever it is that you went through, you're all good now. So I'm happy that I did.
Yeah. And then the last thing is, if people want to follow you on social media, where can they find you? Like, you can plug whatever you want.
I suck at this so much because I actually don't know my tags offline. I'm telling you guys, when you get me after Eden has like an event, a game, a this. Do not get me after Eden. I'm telling you guys. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone because I'm actually telling you guys what my tags are. Feras Basal 95 on Instagram, Laugh with Feras on TikTok, and on Twitter it is Feras Basal. So
Perfect.
You'll find all of that on my Insta, on my link tree, with all my links. So yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, this has been great. It's been great that you gave us so much of your time to explain your entire game with us, Feras. And again, just to be talking to one of my favorite survivors of all time is just amazing.
Thank you so much, guys. Honestly, this was so much fun to do, and I'll happily be back whenever you guys want me. But thank you so much for also hosting all of this. It was so much fun. And also, I will say, this was the most entertaining in terms of questioning. I really enjoyed the questions of this. It was very different. So very, very happy. Would love to do you guys again if there was another time, or if there's an All-Stars coming later on and I'm on, who knows?
Who knows?
That's awesome,
Yeah,
dude.
thank you so much for your time, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on, and we're ready to ride the Ferris wheel more next week because we're going to be talking Titans versus Rebels in our in-depth season review next week. So that's going to be a lot of fun to close out Australian Survivor.
Awesome. I'm sure to tune into that.
Yeah, for sure. And with that, we will see you all next time on The Tribe of Nerds.